Our next feature presenter is Ben Fortier. You see Ben here, if you come to the open mics regularly, he usually does the camera work, which Kenny is helping with today. Ben works for TCAM. And he was born and raised in northern Rhode Island, quickly found a fascination in writing and poetry, and when he graduated, he was nominated as class poet. So he grew up in this creativity, and it was recognized early in his life. He later served in the Marine Corps and went in 2006 to Fallujah in Iraq and fought on the front lines there. And he told me that some of the people that he fought against went on to become members of ISIS. And he saw a great deal of suffering during that time, and some of his poetry, not all of it, has to do with the experience of war. Please don't get discouraged by these heavy motifs today, because I think you've seen in the case of Ra and Rich that there is kind of a resurrection motif as well, and that people find joy in suffering and wisdom as well. Ben has also done gigs as a musician and songwriter, so he's worked in that phase of creativity too. He has published 2 poetry collections. One is Silent Whispers of Omens, and he has a copy of it in the back with a sign-up list. It is available on Amazon.com. And his upcoming release is Stones of the Wooded Valley. He'll read some of the poems from that new book today. Thanks very much, Ben.
Thank you again, Ethel. I really appreciate everything that you do to help the arts community, and this is just fantastic. Everyone else who has a hand in making this happen, I'd like to thank Katie, the OCHM, Saria, Liz, see Dr. Hannah in the audience as well, all the volunteers, caretakers, Kenny's on the board of directors.
Grab the screen real fast.
You gotta shut the door all the way. There we go.
And I'd like to thank also my compatriots in the arts, Raheem and Richard. It's difficult acts to follow, so I'm going to do my best here. I was selected with my poetry today because much of my work is geared towards mature audiences. It explores the more difficult aspects of our shared human existence. I'm not writing hopeless material, though, as Ethel had said. I don't ever suggest to remain smothered by our negative emotions and maladaptive behaviors. If we fall down 7 times, you better get up 8. I've chosen today's poems to start heavy and then flow into more lighter themes. As I grew up and learned about myself, poetry was not like playing the guitar where I could harness a flow state, if you will. My poetry, as you will soon discover, is a confrontation, not an escape. I like to get in bed for snuggles with the demons. My poetry is a reflection and exploration of our human condition, that which is complex, unique, genuine, and oftentimes laced with friction. For me, what started as an introverted and silent medium became something different when I was asked by one of my high school writing mentors to perform as a class poet for our graduating year. It was a quick piece that departed my fellow classmates' good wishes to go forth and discover their dreams, forge their own paths, and it was marvelously positive. It wasn't until recently, across the street at the First Parish Church in January of 2018, that I became invigorated with spoken word. I am a singer and guitar player in a metal band, so getting up in front of a mic and screaming is not out of character for me. With that said, I hope to inspire and encourage our audience members to find a creative outlet, explore your personal fears, grievances, and insecurities. The arts are meant to be accessible in all forms, and thanks to programs like this, we can walk through a door and express ourselves. So just kind of, these first 2 poems are basically poems about mental health. This first one is called Stones of the Wooded Valley. It is the title poem of my next upcoming book, as Ethel said, and I'm very excited to read it. So here we go. This is Stones of the Wooded Valley. Crippling self-doubt, punishing insecurity, a distorted sense of personal value shredded by the deception of the spirit, the weight of feeling incomplete and utterly useless as a human being parries positive thoughts and gestures of emotional healing. It is the worthless dirt that I relate to. I feel as empty as the wind, carrying dark clouds over mountains to pour buckets of rain down their sloping hills, to punish the creations of earth, that they too may feel my pain. Buried neck deep in mud, tied down by brambles, crucified to the yoke, where the stones of the wooded valley remain undisturbed for thousands more years. Again, this next one is called Tell Me How You Feel. It is based on just when you're having those worst moments of your life and you feel like you're just suffocating. I tried to express how that, create metaphors to how that might feel. So this is called Tell Me How You Feel. It's like being stranded in a tidal pool after a tsunami came through and washed your entire life away. The waves pushing and pulling all around you, struggling to breathe. Masses of debris float by. They force you to evade them or they'll knock you out cold. Your body must keep moving, keep fighting, or you'll be sucked into the abyss. Lungs and stomach and esophagus take on water. Heavily, you sink to the bottom. It's like being chased deeper into a cave by a four-legged beast that has stalked you for days. The phlegmy, panting hisses and snarls echo off the moist rock walls as you clamber and inch your way deeper, illuminated by the flickering, dying light source you left behind in your attempt to scramble away. The sharp edges of stone cut your skin, patches of flesh are sanded. It sounds like the microphone's going out here, but we'll keep going. Patches of flesh are sanded down to the oozing red ventricles. The creature is right behind you, and you are stuck. Your legs dangling freely while your torso is trapped, pinched in an opening you thought you could get through. You feel the first bite puncture your calf and scream until there is no voice left. On the worst days of your life, that's what it's been like. Just like that. You berate you, you hate you. You are the insecure version of yourself. You are the demon and the anti-God, and surely there is no love on earth for someone like that. But there is. For this prison is self-created. You are both inmate and guard. You are both handcuff and key. You are the tidal wave and the one that drowns. You are the wolf and the prey. I'm just gonna check the batteries here.
Can't take the tech out of it.
Siri, does this take batteries?
Yeah, and they're fresh,
Yeah.
so.
It's the connection, it was pretty good. He can't hear it there.
1, 2, 3. Oop, that was loud. So moving on from mental health things, these are some of my poems that are views on social culture. This is called I Don't Mean to Overgeneralize, but we are the morally crippled virtue signalers, pushing misinformation, pulling harder on the strings of consumption, greed, capitalism, and violence. We are hopelessly corrupt in our dignity, propelling failure on a global scale. Submitting to technology, no regard for our own privacy. We willingly give these companies information we wouldn't give our own neighbors, but it's free, right? So who cares? Maybe we're in it for the worse. Maybe we're just in time. Unfortunately, it all seems pretty frantic at this point, so either way, we're screwed. Grind, grind, grind. Pay bills, check online, pretend to digitally care about friends' lives. pop pills, do Pilates, run a few miles. We're in it to win it. But what is the intent? What are our goals? Are we leaving an appropriate impression on the generations to come? Because as far as I can tell, the only thing that is outliving me are these subpar poems and mediocre songs that I've composed. And while they may not carry my genetic and biological code, they may have some more impact on the world than some potentially crummy human being might. Sorry, future son or daughter. This is one that is not from my upcoming book. This is something that I've written pretty recently, and just I'm very happy to share with you all today. This is called Away from the Cycles of Savagery. Crowded mind, the troubled kind, a stew of fear and ignorance blended with social constructs as to identify the other, the dangerous and criminal. We don't understand how they talk, how they act, how they love, how they show respect. Our clouded minds bring out the worst, deeply rooted, fear-induced. They are not of our tribe, they don't belong here, get rid of them. The extremes of paranoia that have led to violence and killings are rooted in fear that we all are born with and have been infected by the great cultures from which we're spawned. If we learn to be agile with our thoughts, we can counteract these biases and lead the world away from the cycles of savagery. As Ethel said, I have been in a combat zone, and I have written about my time in battle and things like that. And moving forward, I have been very interested in how warfare is changing right before our very eyes. I'm very much into history, and comparing something like World War I to what we see today is just, it's so different. It's those, the contrast is incredible, but at the end of the day, we are living in a era of cyber-based warfare and misinformation on a scale that we've never seen before. So this is called multi-domain operations, and it's about how warfare is evolving. The armies that will withstand the future must have the capability and will to dominate all facets of war. While the peril of nuclear holocausts created a deep worry in state actors, they found subversive tactics that would fool the observers and solidify their victory. There is always a way around the boundaries of legislation. Instantaneous communication leads to belt-fed propaganda machines, spewing memes of divisive content, controlled by the same state actors that are claiming no offensive is currently ongoing, while mass troops with rifles and wheeled armored vehicles with machine guns roll through the streets of some village. News reports claim mercenaries, while intelligence analysts believe their rivals are simply warming up the gears of their newly formed war machine. Internet operations, cyber-based warfare, multifaceted, tactical scenarios, winning battles without ever firing a shot. This is called Ave Cesar, and it is about the people at the very top echelons of power that pull the strings of warfare and send young people off to die. And it's nice to know that with our current military, that everyone is an all volunteer, nobody's drafted. That makes me sleep a little better at night in terms of how America is acting as the global police officer. But there are people at the higher echelons of power that just don't understand what it's really like to be on the ground and to be dealing with the situations that they create. So this is about those leaders that are just completely out of touch with what's going on in the decisions that they're making. Ave Cesar. Abhorrent, destructive, elusive, odious, the will to destroy human life and manipulate cultural appropriations, efforts of subversion go unnoticed by the masses, a perversion of morals, affliction of allegiance. Storm the walls, breach the fortress until the corpses flood the moat. Alliances are twisted, bonds shattered like bone. The king turns to see the knife entering his abdomen, a sly grin from a former friend. No apologies are spoken, just the gurgling of blood-filled lungs. He falls in a heap, disappointed in his valiant reign. This next one is called As the Green Fields Wither, and not all my stuff is super heavy and dark, so these themes that I'm going to end on are about appreciation, gratitude, and just want to extend my appreciation to all of you today for your time, for your attention, and thank you very much. As the green fields wither, replaced by a blanket of snow, we sit in wonder. Don't gauge life by our pain. Mistakes will pass us by. It's not always worth getting choked up over the pettiness in life. We sit in wonder as the green fields wither. Coated with a layer of snow, the tracks will be covered, and soon all will be empty. But the trees are so beautiful with thick snow on their boughs. The melodies are gone, carried away by the wind. Make sure they stay in your mind. We are left with but a taste of the memories we cherished. Still, don't chastise the sun for leaving us with the dawn. This is called Humility Through Death, and it is it's really an appreciation of the hardships that we all have to go through, especially with losing family members or losing loved ones, and the feeling of just accepting their loss or the loss that you feel and just moving on from grief. Acceptance of the present, taking life as it comes or goes, a balance of what pushes and pulls us will lead to harmony. Do not strive for endless happiness. Do not ignore your sorrows. Be pleased to be in pain, for you never know when you might go, and the memory of you is what is left. Do you look at your life with bitterness and dissent, acidic emotions dripping through a hollowed spirit? When your life force moves on, what will you take with you? Will you ever forget us or what you've said and done? The lives you've affected, the joy you have brought us all will never be forgotten. So somewhere we will meet again. I believe we will meet again. I appreciate everyone in your time today. I really just want to encourage other people to find the art and community and embrace your inner creativity. And thankfully, Ethel, you have brought us all together in that spirit. So thank you so much. I have one more. We are here to help and heal. Use your pain as a learning experience and share that with others. Normalize this conversation. This is called waves. We are waves, spawned from a higher power, arising in a sea of both torment and beauty. Peaking, we realize that we must fall against the sand back to the earth, yet still we cycle onward through strife, knowing that we must hit the shore and become washed away by the waves that follow. Capture a moment in time. It is seen as insignificant by the tide. Crash. Right before your eyes, the white cap breaks and melts into the surf, back into the ocean, to become a part of the powerful force that drives her. Thank you all.